All right, we got a full house. What do you think of the music, Bram?
Dude, Bram.
It's all right today. I mean, I normally like when we go full discotheque, but it's cool. It's cool.
Well, Ren, I ready to break off the glow sticks.
Yeah.
Ren, there you go. There you go. Because I could always count on Bram and Ren, but Bram is always a critic. He's always criticizing our intro music. So I have
That's
to
what I do for a living, Dan. I criticize. Made a good living out of criticizing.
All right. Well, you're going to have a lot of opportunity over the next couple of months as we kick off Breeders' Cup Live, Road to the Longines Classic, 7 live stream shows just like this one. We're going to be featuring Challenge Series races on all those weeks. We're going to be on. You're going to be on. You're going to have a chance to interact with us. Just drop your comments in like the rest of us. Grab a drink, settle in, have a good time. We're going to handicap the races. We're going to bet on the races. We're going to watch the races. The big one today, the Stephen Foster winning you're in for the Longines Classic. So really pumped to get started today. We've already introduced Ren and Bram. We also have Matt Bernier, who you all know from our shows over the past couple of years. And, Aly Vance joining us from the UK. Aly, let's start with you. Busy day, long day out in your neck of the woods, and you hung tight here to do the show with us. So how have you been?
Yeah. Hi, guys. Lovely to see you all, and thanks for having me. Yeah, it's 10 o'clock in the UK. Pretty long day, but great to be joining you again. Looking forward to tonight's racing. And how things? I've been racing the last twice in the last week. First time since March 2020. So I managed to get to Royal Ascot at the end of last week, and I popped over to my local racecourse, which is Newbury, at the beginning of this week. So all is well in the UK.
I saw your tweet earlier too. Were you actually predicting a Godolphin double today, or were you just saying maybe it would be interesting if it happened?
Well, I don't think it's going to make me a lot of money if I do predict it. But yeah, Godolphin won the Irish Derby earlier today, which they've had a good season, Godolphin. They took the English Derby a few weeks ago here, so back that up with the Irish Derby. They've obviously got some good horses in training over in America. So they seem to be having a good 2021.
All right, so Godolphin's got the big horse, of course, Maxfield, coming up in the Grade 2, $600,000 Stephen Foster from Churchill Downs. We're going to show you that race. We're actually going to have a live report from Churchill Downs coming up shortly too, so hang with us for that. Ren, it's been about a month, I think, since we've hooked up on one of these shows. How have you been?
I've been awesome, and I am so stoked for today. I actually just had Brennan Walsh on my show, The Future Stars Forecast, on Tuesday, and just the love he has for this horse. All of his horses, but in particular, this horse gave him his first Grade 1 win. He used to work, in the trading side of it for Godolphin overseas. In fact, back in the day, he didn't actually get on his back, but he'd help go out and pony out his paternal grandsire, Maxfield's paternal grandsire, Street Cry. So that's pretty cool to see just the journey that he's taken to get to where he is with this horse.
Very cool. Matt, we last saw you as well on our Shoemaker Miles show, another win, and you're in for the Breeders' Cup. What's been going on? We know, of course, viewers watching know that you do some of the NBC shows. You've got the podcast. You've been keeping pretty busy. So what's the latest?
Yeah, just plugging along. I think this is one of my favorite times of year. The racing calendar is beautiful that it's always sort of evolving and changing. But I like now that we're getting closer and closer to those summer meets, Saratoga and Del Mar, and the focus goes from the Triple Crown onto the Breeders' Cup. And I feel like this afternoon, specifically the Foster, it's going to be really interesting. I don't want to totally give everything away. I don't really think there's anything that can happen today to make my opinion of Maxfield change one way or the other. But we'll get into that in a little bit. But it should be a good day of racing.
Opinions, we want to hear them. If you're watching the show right now, drop your opinions in the comments. Who do you think is going to win the Foster? Who do you think is going to win the Wise Dan? That's another race we're going to be talking about here in a few minutes. Let's welcome in also Bram. Bram, people see you every Monday on the Winner's Circle here on ABR. What's going on, Bram? How's your week been?
I had some Peruvian chicken for lunch, so that was cool. I did that. And, it's been a nice day out here in the Washington, D.C. area. And I really, 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 really like this race coming up because I don't like either of the two favorites to win. So I'm feeling like I got a number that's staring me down in the next 20 minutes or so, Dan. So I'm loving this.
All right, we like that. We like that. Some of the comments coming in now. Maxfield fans, of course. Jay May, you may have to wait. I don't think my dad even knows we're live today, so you may have to wait to that.
Yes, he does, Dan. Dan, your dad always knows what you're doing. Constantly knows what you're doing, Dan.
Yeah, it was great. Like, we actually got to go to the races. Aly, I know you were super excited to get back out to the track as well. I got to go with my dad a couple of weeks ago at Belmont, and then we went to the Monmouth Park here. It's really good to be back. And you know, like, people have seen photos and images from the races here stateside. How about for you? Like what has it been like to be back at the track?
Yeah, it's a bit strange. Royal Ascot, it was part of a government trial, so we were allowed 12,000, which compared to the normal, was it 40,000 roughly? So it felt really empty. A lot of people said it was great because there's lots more space, people could move around, you could get a seat to watch the racing in the grandstand, but it definitely felt, you know, it felt weird being such a big race course with so few people, a bit like Churchill Downs having, you know, 10,000 people. But other courses, you know, 4,000 people, I think, is what they're normally allowed. It's kind of, it felt normal and great. And actually, you know, it was a sunny evening. I went to Newbury and everyone was down by the rail and the atmosphere was super. It's just nice having the opportunity to go and see some live sport and go there and not just have to watch it on the television and meet up with some friends. So, yeah, as you say, it's super exciting to start getting back to some normality.
You know what, Dan? Like, me and you got to go to Preakness and Belmont, and same thing. There was like 10,000 people at the Preakness and like 10,000, whatever it was, at Belmont. And no offense to mankind, but I kind of liked it that way. Like, it felt actually really exclusive, and it wasn't even just moving around. It had this kind of almost like big exclusive feel that I got into this thing. So I actually like really enjoyed it. And I know we're going to open the doors again and the infield's going to go crazy next year and all that stuff, but I actually kind of didn't mind it. And, you know, also fortunate enough to get in the door, which is kind of hard to do right now.
It felt like that you thought, when are the gates going to open? It felt like it was sort of almost, when are we going to get started? When is everyone going to arrive? And then you realize that sort of everyone had arrived. It was quite strange for such a big occasion, a bit like the Belmont and the Preakness, where there's so many people and such a sort of crazy atmosphere about it. With Royal Ascot's the same. So it was a bit odd. But yeah, well, I guess it was quite nice being able to actually get a seat in the grandstand.
Well, this is a perfect segue, actually, in terms of getting a seat. For those of you interested in Breeders' Cup tickets, they go on sale pretty soon here. July 16th, mark this down, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. If you want your Breeders' Cup tickets, the World Championships returning to Del Mar, beautiful Del Mar. This year, your tickets go on sale July 16th at noon Eastern, 9 Pacific. So obviously take note of that. And, you know, like, I'm wearing my Del Mar 2017 hat. I think Del Mar held probably the best Breeders' Cup I've ever been to. I'm not sure. Remind me who of you went to that Breeders' Cup and what you thought of that one and how excited you are. Ren, go ahead.
I thought it was great. The atmosphere is great. The weather's obviously tremendous. Del Mar is such a cool looking track, just aesthetically also. So, and for those who appreciate the history behind it and all of the Hollywood types that used to frequent it, it's just beautiful. The restaurants, the town itself is beautiful. Del Mar is really, in many ways, in line with Saratoga in that it's not just the track, but it can be the surrounding area that really is the track culture when those meets are going on.
Yeah. Aly, were you there for that one?
Yeah, I agree. It's great. The track is beautiful, pretty, had a really nice, intimate feel about it, easy to get around. But the whole town, you are literally a stone's throw from the beach. And there's some really nice restaurants, bars on the beach. And Breeders' Cup kind of embraced the whole town. It wasn't just about the race course. You did feel like you walk around and everyone there knew that the racing was going on. They put one of the horses that was just synonymous with Breeders' Cup. They were sort of placed around the town in different colours, and there were lots of parties around for the Breeders' Cup. So it is an awesome place to go to if you can make it over to California for November.
My only piece of advice, if you're going to go and you end up being in a shaded area as the day goes on, it gets rather chilly. Make sure you got enough clothes. You got a little jacket. You got something else. I was freezing by the end of the day. We were down there in the winter circle, and I felt like I was back on the East Coast. My teeth were chattering. During the day in the sun.
In the UK in November, if you want to see what cold is like.
It was gorgeous in the sun, but it's just be prepared.
I will say the funny thing is that when they were hosting, I was pregnant, and I was in this room and with Acacia and Matt, because Matt was off at the time, and they're going around the room passing out free champagne, and I could not indulge at all. And at that time, I couldn't tell anybody why I couldn't indulge because it was still a secret that I was pregnant. So that part wasn't as fun for me, but it's fabulous.
My only advice is
Matt,
that
was a Matt. You think you had it tough? Ren couldn't even drink that day.
Hey, look, and I'm not complaining. It's just it's a piece of advice for anybody that's going to go.
I mean, I love Del Mar. I love that area. My only advice: don't let Dan make the dinner plans. You'll end up eating like food truck tacos or something when you've got all this high end, opportunity to get food and beverage and all that stuff. So, make the plans for Dan. That's my advice for you if you go to Del Mar. Dan's great to hang out with, but if you let him be the tour guide, you're in trouble. You're not going to see the best of the area.
I have my favorite restaurants, but I'm not giving any advice because I don't want people making the reservations and keeping me from having a spot at the table.
There is a race coming up called the Wise Dan Stakes, and we're going to jump into that in just a moment. But since we've teased Del Mar so much, I have a Del Mar video queued up. We've got to show the Del Mar experience. So take a look at this. On the other side of this, we'll come back, handicap some races, and hopefully make some money. I saw you dancing. I didn't see Bram dancing.
Who needs a mic drop when you got what was that, a whale? I love it.
Who don't know, the way this works with these win and you're in races like the Stephen Foster coming up in 45 minutes or so from Churchill Downs is that if you win, the Breeders' Cup will pay the entry fees for the winner. Will also provide a travel allowance of up to $10,000 if it's a horse that's not based in California. So it's a big deal. I mean, horses who win this race really in recent years have done very well, moving ahead for the remainder of the year in the Classic division, ultimately in the Longines Classic. And so this is a big race. It's a big prep. And if you win it, of course, a bit of a cost savings for your horse going headed toward the Breeders' Cup. So we're going to get into the Stephen Foster field in a minute, but as I teased a few times, we've got the great $300,000 Wise Dan Stakes coming up. And I don't know, you guys seem pretty excited to talk. Matt, I see you and Ren both sort of champing at the bit here for this race. Matt, let me start with you. What do you think? This is I think a pretty competitive field from a pace perspective. Some like it hot brown. Should be the main speed, and I don't see much other speed. Maybe Field Pass, a stablemate. What do you think? How does this race play out?
Yeah, I mean, tactics are going to play a major role, you would think. I think that's part of the reason that Some Like It Hot Brown is the favorite right now at 8-5. If you just take a look at all of these horses from a talent standpoint, I don't know that you have a domestic spending in this field. I don't think you have anyone that you really need to be terrified of. I think Some Like It Hot Brown can certainly win. I think Set Piece can win. My concern with Set Piece is, for lack of a better way of putting it, trainer intent. I mean, they have really taken their time with this horse who, when he first came over here and debuted in North America, he looked like a grade 1 type of turf runner. His turn of foot was fantastic. And he just kind of, I want to say he stumbled his way through his conditions, but they've really handled him kind of with kid gloves. And at a short price, I don't know that I need to find out that he's not actually as good as maybe some of the numbers would suggest he is. If it's not the top 2 and the horse that I'm going to end up picking in here, I love Ride a Comet in here. I feel like
all right.
Ride a Comet to me is the classic case of, in turf racing in general, 2 things way out: class and kick. What I mean by kick, I mean that late turn of foot. Ride a Comet, I would prefer him at a flat mile, but a mile and a 16th I think is within his scope. Look at the horses he's been running against lately. None of them. There is nothing remotely close to the talent of a Domestic Spending, a Smooth Like Straight, a Colonel Liam, a Hit the Road, Raging Bull. There are none of those horses in here. I think getting back to a more reasonable class level, frankly, going a little bit shorter to a flat mile would be ideal. Mile on the 16th, I think he can handle it here today. And 9-2, I think, is a massive overlay. I'm on the 7, Ride a Comet.
That's right. Well, to your point regarding our boy on the rail set piece, yes, could he be a horse that's just in really good form now? He's got 2 wins, coming off 2 consecutive wins, the last one being by 4 lengths. But the field there wasn't particularly the deepest field. And also take in mind those last 2 starts on good going. Did he move up a little bit because of that? We don't know. But like you're saying, at that price, I'm going to bet against him. Some like it, Hot Brown, really cool horse. Nothing against him. Great pedigree too. Breeders' Cup shout out because his granny is a half sister to Breeders' Cup juvenile winner and champion 2-year-old Stevie Wonder Boy. So that's a fun little connection there. But yes, Ride a Comet. This is a horse, as Matt was talking about, he's been up against some really heavy hitters. He really makes a good accounting of himself when he's in the game. And I actually reached out to David Carroll, assistant to Mark Cassie, and asked him about that last performance. And he said, and I'm quoting him because I asked him to text me something that I could relay. He said, "We felt that we ran Ride a Comet back a little too quickly in the Turf Classic, hence the flat performance. We gave him a little freshening and he's been training forwardly since. We are hopeful that he can bounce back and run his race. If he does, he should be very close, or he should go very close." And then the other thing, going back to the class lines, I mean, you look at that Tropical Turf Handicap, for example. Casa Creed was in that race. He just won the Jaipur, put up a 105 buyer, earning a spot into the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint. So again, Ride a Comet, total package to me.
Bram.
All right, so I'm kind of with the crowd here that I think there's a price that can be hit, and there's 2 horses I like here. One is Ride a Comet, and the other one's Field Pass. I like Field Pass here, albeit with the recent results not looking all that particularly great. I'm with Matt on set piece. I mean, 6 of his last 7, yeah, he's won all of them, but like he's running as a massive favorite in fields where he's not being tested at all. So this is a massive jump up. So I don't really know what I'm getting here, and I don't like the price on that. And I don't understand why it took so long to take a shot in a race like this when it looks like he should have earlier. So I'm wondering what's going on here. So I'm off a set piece, and with some like it Hot Brown, I think he's going to go to the front. I think he's obviously could just run away and win, but race by race, it's hard to know what he's going to do. And I think he's going to get collared and caught. And that is where it's wide open for one of these 2 better prices to probably get him. Ride a Comet, the price is good. Field Pass, the price is great. Tested graded stakes horse, feels like a weak enough field, feels like the right distance. And so that number is screaming at me, go with Field Pass here. So that's probably the direction I'm going to go.
All right, so we have 5 minutes until the Wise Dan Stakes. We do not have permission to show you the Wise Dan Stakes, but we will be showing you the Win in Your Rin Stephen Foster Stakes coming up. So we will try to relay to you as best we can everything that's going on at Churchill Downs right now. And we'll also, I'm just going to actually put it on Bram because I know he has race caller aspirations to actually call the Wise Dan Stakes. So he'll call the race.
Happen without anybody seeing it, Dan. That's not going to happen. You're not going to put me on the spot with 4 minutes on the clock. That's not happening. I'll do a nice recap for you, Dan. That's what I'll tell you.
One quick thing. Oh, can I throw in one quick thing? As maybe a horse for your exotics is a long shot to throw in there. Super Soul. I know it's like, what? But that was his only turf start in his entire career, and it makes sense. He's got such a flexible sire line and broodmare sire line, and added that to that fact is he's direct tail female to Minstrella, who was a champion in Ireland. And then as far as a class bump, also, that is not necessarily turf specific to the back end of this female line, but it is the line of Hall of Famer Gallarette. So you have class in there, you've got the turf influence, and you've got the flexible sire and dam sire.
I got one of those too, actually. I like the 10 In Love to hit the board. That's the one I'm going to be watching at a price 25 to 1. I don't think he's going to win, but I like it at a price. It's coming up from Argentina, competitive horse in all 4 races, and I like the times that I've seen in the races with him. So I think that's one that I'm going to throw in and hopefully hit on the bottom of an exotic and get a price as well. I think this is a payoff race to me. Ride a Comet or Field Pass wins here. If one of these shots hits on the board as well, I think we better do it now, because I'm with Matt. Like, good luck talking me off of what's going to be a massive favorite in the next race.
But while we're all throwing long shots out there, what the heck? I'm going to go with the 5-horse Hierarchy. Like, we're going to long shots. I think Hierarchy has a shot. Some of his best efforts over the turf at Churchill. Joe Sharp has had 7 runners in graded stakes over the turf at Churchill Downs the last couple of years. 5 of the 7 runners, regardless of price, and some of the big ones, have hit the board. 2 of them have won, including Fast Boat most recently last month in the Turf Sprint Stakes. So that pretty much sets it up for you, Aly. Give us a 30 to 1 shot who's going to win this race.
I'm not going to do that, I'm afraid. When it comes to turf racing, we know that the European horses are always the best, the ones you got to watch, the horses that come over from the UK or Ireland. So I'm staying loyal. I think Set Piece was a horse that was trained by Hugo Palmer in the UK, and they really liked the horse enough to have it run in the 2000 Guineas, which is the sort of obviously the one of the first big 3-year-old races over here. It didn't run as well, and I think they were disappointed. He was gelded and had some time off. He came back and ran a really good race. The race before he then got shipped to Brad Cox, and he likes Churchill Downs. He's run well there, and I think gelding. I think he's the one to beat. Set Piece, I'm sorry, I'm not giving you a massive priced outsider there, Dan, for once, which I normally love siding with the big price ones, but Set Piece for me.
Yeah, you usually do give us a bigger price. All right, that's fine. We'll take that. Set Piece currently, by the way, let me just read through the odds. Set Piece currently 2 to 1. Mutakatif, the 2-horse, 44 to 1. Some Like It Hot Brown, your current favorite, 9 to 5. Super Soul, who Ren mentioned, 26 to 1. Hierarchy, my long shot play, 23 to 1. Kentucky Ghost, a horse I want to circle back on in a minute, a horse we haven't talked about much, 20 to 1 morning line now, 16 to 1. Ride a Comet, who we've talked about quite a bit here, 9 to 2 currently. Field Pass, another horse we've talked about, 9 to 1. Spooky Channel, 8 to 1, down from the 15 to 1 morning line. And In Love, who Bram mentioned, 29 to 1. Matt, what do you make of Kentucky Ghost? I feel like he is sort of, I thought he would be sort of the wise guy play here, maybe a little bit coming out of the nice allowance performances, a nose away from winning 3 in a row, just missed a couple of races back at Keeneland, but, ran a nice race last out at Churchill. What do you make of Kentucky Ghost?
Yeah, no issue with anybody that likes this one, especially at almost 20 to 1, 17 to 1 right now in the tote. Paired up career buyer tops of 93. Typically, I think that precedes a forward move. If that puts you up into the mid to high 90s, this one's certainly in with a chance. I think you always need to keep an eye on the horses who are still, in theory anyway, could improve. I mean, this is only a 4-year-old who's run 3 times this year. There's no reason to believe that we still haven't seen the best from this one just yet. And again, I feel like we've kind of laid out the case that this field, while it's good, and there are some really nice horses, namely the top 3 betting choices, it's not like they're the cream of the crop. The cream of the crop ran a few weeks ago at Belmont Park, or they're waiting for some of these summer campaign races. So again, if you're not sold on one of the 3 choices in here, there's nothing wrong with taking a horse like Kentucky Ghost, who is already reasonably close from a speed figure standpoint. And if you do get a forward move, boom, you're right there.
The one thing I will say is you see Glynn County was 3rd in that race he's coming out of. Well, Glynn County is a horse that, he was up against a horse that Set Piece actually decimated. So Set Piece, in that race that he's coming out of the Douglas Park, the 6th place horse, Artemis Eagle, he next put up a 90 buyer speed figure, running 2nd in an optional 62 N2X that was going 1.5 miles, and that was to Glynn County. So, a little common opponent game to sort of like just see the difference in class lines of what this horse did and how close he finished in proximity to Glen County versus Set Piece having really soundly beaten a horse who then ran second to the same Glen County. I will make a quick mention. You mentioned Mutakayev. I have to look the name. There's so many Middle Eastern names now that are so similar. Mutakatif, which, but by the way, means compact. So yeah, Mutakatif. He actually, it's a horse that you would have thought they had some hopes for as well. I mean, if you look back at those running lines in that second start, he was a length and a half beaten by Expert Eye, who went on to win the Breeders' Cup Mile. So he used to have, the ability to throw down with a horse like that. I don't know what really happened when he came over. I mean, he wasn't terrible or anything, but there's a lot of, start and stop and whatnot in the running lines there. But the last race wasn't too bad either. I know it says 7th, but it's relative to beaten lengths, 3 1/4. So
they're in the gate now.
Let me
for
get
the Wise Dan Stakes. I think they just they're off now. Like I said, we cannot show you this race, but we will show you the Stephen Foster Stakes coming up. As soon as this race is over, we will bring you live video. Matt, do you want it? Because Bram clearly.
No big surprise here. Some Like It Hot Brown has raced out to the lead, and Field Pass has gotten a good start here. He's in second. The horse who Ren can't pronounce and neither can I is in third, about 3 lengths off. Field Pass is pressing a little bit at the front. And then there's a pretty decent break, but it's a really good start for Some Like It Hot Brown.
Strung out field, even though they're not going particularly fast. 24 flat for the opening quarter. I'm going to guess the half's going to be 48 and change with the way that they're moving. Having said that, again, I mean, first to last is probably about 20 lengths at this point.
Yeah, there's a long way to go. They are really strung out. I mean, the third place horse, which is the Ren horse, whose name I'll never try to pronounce, is a good 7 lengths back. So it's really front loaded, and we'll see who's got something in the end. They're all packed up behind the third place horse, but Some Like It Hot Brown's had it easy here.
You've got to like your position though, Bram. No, Bram, you got to be pleased with Field Pass right now.
I love where Field Pass is right now, and the question is, can he collar him? And those slow times kind of bothered me, honestly. But here he comes. He's making his move now on the far turn as they turn for home. And Field Pass is trying to collar Some Like It Hot Brown. The field is now gathered. Here comes your horse, Ride a Comet on the outside.
Get him, Comet.
Some Like It Hot Brown.
Go, Comet.
Of the track. Now Set Piece finally.
Ooh, Set Piece.
Finds room.
What a ride.
Is going to get to the wire, passing Some Like It
No.
Hot Brown. Some Like It Hot Brown firing back, but Set Piece to the wire wins close for third between Ride a Comet and Field Pass.
I'm happy for Aly. I'm happy for Aly. I'm sad for myself because wait, no, I did use him. Okay, never mind. I can be happy for Aly because I did end up using him in my pick 4.
Aly, take a bow, and that was impressive. I mean, honestly, when you saw as easily as Some Like It Hot Brown was able to dictate from the start, you got to figure it was going to be tough for anyone to catch him. I mean, that move by Set Piece was pretty eye-opening off of very reasonable splits for Some Like It Hot Brown.
Yay, I tipped a hot favorite to win.
Hey, sometimes
I'll take it.
Yeah. Sometimes it's about when you feel a favorite's justified and sticking by it. So no, that's great. Okay, and I feel much better, like I said, because I did use him on my pick 4.
I think that's a horse to keep an eye on moving forward. I mean, that was visually impressive. I mean, very impressive.
I think sometimes the board might tell you what you need to know. I was with Matt here where I'm like, this horse should have stepped up at some point, didn't do it. I don't know why, right? Only the connections know why they didn't take a shot like this in the past, but the board's telling you he's a favorite. So, everyone seemed to think that he belonged in that class, even though he had not done this at this level yet. And there he was charging out there. I think those times helped, really, honestly. The slower times on the back really helped.
We also need to, and I'd love to see, it doesn't seem like we're going to get it anytime soon, but getting a replay from about the half mile in, because I don't know how Giroux was able to get down to the inside because the horse was just bottled up behind basically the entire field. He somehow was able to get down to the rail. If he doesn't do that, I don't want to say that the horse was clearly, he was the winner, but I think it also took an outstanding ride for this horse to get up and only win by a half length. Giroux needs, I saw a lot of people giving him some grief the other day for some ride that I didn't even get to see what it was, but that was a spectacular ride.
And this was the race. I think, what did I say? This is the race we're going to make all our money. And it went with the top 4 on the board in order coming in on this race.
Yeah, this is a 1, 2, 3. Hey, and you know what? The public is the best handicapper that there's ever been. And they continue to be the best.
As we begin to transition to our discussion here, the Stephen Foster, the Win and You're In Stephen Foster automatic entry to the Longines Breeders' Cup Classic, we have our guest for us live at Churchill Downs. I can see him setting up his camera right now, an old friend of mine who's part of the broadcast team there at Churchill Downs. I want to go ahead and bring in Scott Shapiro. Scott, do you hear us?
I do. How you guys doing? The camera's weird. I'm on my phone. Is it working with me holding it, or
you're good?
You're perfect.
Working. You look good. You sound good. Yeah, you look great, brother. How you doing? How you been?
I'm doing well, other than my handicapping this afternoon. But how's everybody doing? That was an impressive effort by Set Piece for sure in the Wise Dan.
Yeah, we were just talking about that, how visually that was impressive, especially, I mean, that set up with, maker 1, 2 all the way around, not too much pressure on something like it hop around, and you figured it would be tough to catch him. So definitely an impressive move there by Set Piece.
Sorry, guys. There we go.
Oh, you good?
Uh-oh.
You good? You still hear us?
I hear you, yeah.
It looked like somebody just kind of turned you over and pile drived you for a second.
I had my alarm set so I wouldn't forget. So
okay.
The whole
I
thing
thought
just
Chris
came,
Defect might have put you in the camel clutch or something.
Nah, he saved me. No Iron Sheik Joe Chris Defect today.
All right,
YOLO, come on.
Exactly. Well, we've been talking, obviously, so we haven't done a full dive into the Foster quite yet. We're about to. I just want to show the stretch run of the Aly Sheba. We'll watch it with you here real quick. And on the other side of it, I want you to tell me why anybody's going to beat Maxfield. So let's take a quick look at the stretch run of the Aly Sheba.
As they make their way to the top of the stretch, Maxfield has rallied up on the outside and takes over at the top of the lane. It is Maxfield in front, coming down to the gate pole and battling on to the inside is Visited. Roadster is third, a furlong to run. Maxfield and Jose Ortiz a 3-length lead. Visited to the inside is second, then Roadster, Chess Jeep, and Sonoman coming to the line. Maxfield is back in the Aly Sheba, and he was strong today. He won it by 4 over Visited.
I love him.
All right, make the case for or against. Scott, go.
Don't you make it against, Scott.
Against, the case would be the 1 1/8. I don't see it visually, but all of his wins have been in a 1 1/16 or less. The 1 1/4 out in California was a tough task, shipping cross country, taking on Idaho and Express Train, but didn't get the job done that day. Now tries 9 furlongs for the first time. It's tough to poke holes at this horse in this race. He's the class of the field. That's about all I got for you. Maybe could be up against it from a pace perspective as well.
All right, we've got a couple of comments. Nobody's beating Maxfield. Don't bother. Scott, I've been perusing your Twitter, and I've seen a couple of videos where I know there is a horse or two that you're kind of looking at. Who would they be?
Yeah, I thought that 2 horses that had trouble trips out of the Blame Stakes were interesting. If Maxfield didn't fire his best shot, or maybe if you're looking to try to create some value with Maxfield on top and some horses underneath. I did pick Sprawl just because I didn't want to pick the heavy favorite, knowing that he would be just that, but he's the most likely winner. But Sprawl's a horse that's been very good for Tom Drury. He's had a great breakout meet here at Churchill Downs. Got off to a slow start last time in this race. Was banged a bit at the start, and still recovered well in the Blame to finish third. Really barely missed that day. I think he's going to be sent to the lead today. The inside's been good for the most part, although the last couple of races, including the Bashford Manor, proved that wrong a little. But maybe he can get the jump on Maxfield. And then South Bend was absolutely stopped when making his late run at the top of the stretch in the Blame. He would need a collapse to be able to beat this field. But you could make the excuse, he's a one-run horse. If he got stopped in the lane, that's his game, and he could be thriving at the right time.
You know, on South Bend, Ren, did you want to jump in with something?
Oh, I was going to say, I think the horse that I'm playing underneath, because I think he's the speed of the speed, is Warrior's Charge. And
Yep.
I do think there's been a bit of a speed. I do think that things have been kind of speed favoring there at Churchill. I know we've had a few horses where most of the races today, they've started off either near or on the lead. I know at the Bashford Manor that was different. I think it's a different scenario when you're looking at the 2-year-olds. And in that case, I just think the Pletcher horse may have just been that much more superior. I mean, for example, in race 4, Trident won. He was 4th early on at 5-1, but the horse who was second, who set the pace and held for second, was 30-1. Now, maybe Scott will know better than I if the track's now playing differently now later in the day. But I think the horse that's just going to jump out there is going to be Warrior's Charge. He was raring to go in the gate in the Oaklawn handicap, gutted it out in the stretch to still. I mean, I know he didn't hold for a piece, but he didn't just fold and fall away. And so, yeah, and we know what Silver State did after that. He got a 6th consecutive win in his next start, winning the Met Mile. So I think that's the horse for me to play underneath.
What do you think, Scott? Any pronounced, track bias or anything we should be, factoring into this race in particular?
I thought speed in the inside was the place to be, but the last couple of races, either things have evened out or it was just one of those short sample size. A lot of looked like the horses from off the pace were kind of spinning their wheels in the early part of the card. But after the effort from Double Thunder in the Bashford Manor, you kind of have to wonder if that's the case, even though they really went fast. So I don't know. I mean, Maxfield is tactical enough that he should be in the right spot. If he runs his race, he's going to be ultra tough to beat. Hopefully you guys are all live in the pick 6 or pick 5, single to Maxfield, and he wins for you.
Before we let you go, Scott, we know you got to get back to work. Just wanted to ask you about South Bend real quick, because I had a tough time with South Bend. I think I can make a case that he's a horse who's improving. He's come back better this year. And the fact that he was stopped, as you mentioned, I never know what to do with a horse like that, because, yeah, he was stopped, but he might have not really, he might not have kicked on. I mean, he did look loaded. I don't know exactly where to go with South Bend, and I also don't know exactly how, like, whether he's going to get a setup that he needs, right? Because we talked about Warrior's Charge, maybe Sprawl goes, but there aren't really like 3 or 4 dead set speedsters here, so I don't know how it sets up for him. Just give us a little more there on how you sort of unpack the South Bend situation.
Yeah, I would agree, Dan. I think Sprawl is going to send today for sure, and like Ren said, Warrior's Charge is definitely going to go. I think those will be the 2. Probably would need somebody else to be aggressive for a horse like South Bend to really run these down. But being a 1-run horse, I think he was loaded. He's going to need to come from way out of it, because if he does get stopped like he did or has to make 2 moves, he's just not capable. But I do agree he was live on the board in that blame before getting stopped, and I do think he's sitting on a big race at some point soon. This might be a little bit more than he can handle, though.
All right. Scott Shapiro joining us live.
I just wanted to ask him one question. How do you stand being so awesome?
What's that?
I said, how do you stand being so awesome?
I'm sitting now, so maybe that.
Let me tell you something. I knew Scott. I'm going to say I knew Scott back when.
I know.
I knew this guy back when we were both, working on handicapping blogs that no one had ever heard of.
You were the first one to let me write for you, man. I knew Matt Bernier when he was Matt Bernier, though. So.
All
right, I got to run, guys. Have a good time. Enjoy the race. Good luck.
Thanks, Scott.
Peace, Scott.
Yeah, man. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate the few minutes. All right, that was Scott Shapiro live from Churchill Downs. The good news is we can now we can actually show you the coverage from Churchill Downs, and we can actually take a look at that stretch run on replay here of the Wise Dan Stakes. Apologies that you're not seeing some of our faces. In some instances, that's a good thing. In some instances, it's not.
Oh, why is Aly covered up? No, that's a bad thing.
Like, that's what I'm saying. That's where I said it was not. So, like, for me, nobody needs to see me. But let me see.
There she is. All right.
Hold on. We're about to adjust. There's
there
Aly.
we go.
So, So just in kind of recap in this race, I mean, as we mentioned, Some Like It Hot Brown on a pretty comfortable and easy lead here. You never figured he'd get pressed by his stablemate, and the move up the rail here I think is just visually spectacular.
I mean, he's even still packed and stacked, and now he's going to have to find a place to go, and he shoots down to the wood right here.
It's a lot of guts. That's a lot of guts.
Yeah, it's a hell of a ride and a hell of an effort from the horse. I mean, this was, say what you will about something like a Hot Brown as far as maybe Breeders' Cup capabilities are concerned. I think he's probably a slight notch below, but that's not to say that he's just some tomato can. He's a really, really talented racehorse. To run him down with that kind of setup.
I've never heard that before. Am I out of the loop, or is this just a?
No, that's old school. That's old school. I heard that from a friend of mine. I won't say his name because I don't want to embarrass him. But
that's a 1950s baseball reference. I really like
exactly.
That.
Yes.
Okay. Now I don't feel so bad. I thought, is this something I should know? Okay.
No, it's old school terminology. Yeah. But I just think it's
short is a tomato can. That's
if he sees this, he knows it's him. Look, I thought that was a really good effort. Now, I don't know if Set Piece is a Breeders' Cup horse, but with an effort like that and a turn of foot like that, there's no reason to think the next race will be very telling to me where they choose to go with him. Because I think you need to be a little bit more aggressive now. You got to take a shot somewhere. I don't know where that is, especially if you want to keep him sort of at these distances. But it's the end of June right now. There's really, I guess maybe the Bernard Baruch or something like that at Saratoga. Maybe you give that a shot. The 4-star Dave, which is a grade 1. I would like to see I don't want to say a positive, but sort of a confident move as opposed to path of least resistance. Felt like that was part of the issue with Nick's going into the Met. It was like, yeah, okay, Charlatan's not there. We'll try it. Felt very passive. It didn't feel like a confident move. And guess what? He didn't run very well. I would like to see, especially with a trainer like Brad Cox, who was very confident running his horses in difficult positions, and they typically run well. But when he's one to kind of pull back a little bit, I think you would be doing yourself a disservice if you didn't at least look at it a second time and say, why is this horse not being handled like a better horse? Put it that way.
That makes a lot of sense. I gotta give props to Flow Motion though too, because
Flow Motion, right? And we actually. It's funny. Yeah. We actually watched that replay in slow motion. If you looked at it,
but that takes guts too. I mean, the horse has to have guts to be horses do things because they're trying to make us happy. So if he didn't want to go through that and weave and get onto the rail, he wouldn't have done that. Ride the hedge. And so you have to have the horse having guts, and then the rider has to have guts and confidence that the horse trusts him to navigate him over. And so kudos to Flo for that.
All right, we're about to get, how sometimes in doing this show, we can sort of provoke our viewers into commenting.
I love provoking people.
I think that's what's about to happen.
Wait, I need to drink more again.
Yeah, seriously, take a big gulp of whatever you have.
Oh, I didn't. Well, I told you guys before we started the show. I didn't tell our viewers. So, okay, this is my Breeders' Cup glass. I'm drinking some Irish cream in honor of Brendan Walsh. Let's go, Maxfield. Woo!
And Irish Derby Day.
Yes.
Did I nail that, Aly?
Oh my gosh! Aly, did you see the video of Frankie and William Buick in the car afterward?
Yeah, so yeah. Well, Frankie's saying, "Well, I hate him." Yeah, it was very good. But it was nice seeing that as soon as they crossed the finish line, just Frankie was leading. He was miles clear, and actually, you have to watch the replay. And William Buick on the Godolphin horse stormed home to win by sort of half a length or a neck, it was, I think. And afterwards, Frankie and William were shaking hands, and they were sharing a car. Most of these jockeys, they're going back to Newmarket together, so they're probably in the same plane coming back. So luckily, they all get on pretty well. But yeah. Awesome. It's going to be a good day for Godolphin, I think.
For sure.
So, all right, how is Ren provoking people? All I know at this point is she's drinking booze. What is the provocation that's about?
I'm getting in my provocation mode. I'm a really nice person. I'm a really nice person, so I'm trying to load in so I can be provocative.
I guarantee you're going to love this because this is going to harken back to another moment that we had last year that was classic. So. We've told you how the Stephen Foster is a really, really important race. I mean, if you're trying to get to the Classic, the Stephen Foster is a really good prep race. In recent history, we've had horses like Gunrunner win it, go on to win the Longines Classic. In 2010,
oh no!
In 2010, there was a horse named Blame who won the Stephen Foster.
You're so evil. You're
and then
so
went on
evil.
to do this.
And so the moment of destiny has arrived for Zenyatta. They're all set for the $5 million Breeders' Cup Classic. There's the roar. Looking at Lucky. Here comes looking at Lucky. Etchner's in there. Zenyatta now hooking to the grandstand side. And Zenyatta is now coming with a run. Looking at Lucky. Blame on the inside. Blame gets the lead. Zenyatta on the outside. Looking at Lucky. Blame. Zenyatta is flying. Blame trying to hold on. Blame. And Zenyatta. Blame has won it ahead. Ahead will separate a historic race from Zenyatta.
You're so mean. Why would you do that? You knew. You scheduled me to co-host this show knowing you were going to show that replay.
I mean, you have to show it, right? I mean, it's history. We're just looking back on the history of the race. I mean,
right.
do you feel any pain when you feel that? Do you feel that pain?
I hate watching that. I hate it.
Yep. Thank
She's
you, Aly.
such a wonderful mare. I just hate it. Why did you show that? I'm with Ren. It's horrible.
All right. Well, I'm sorry.
Oh. Hey, but let's
best race she ever ran.
It was,
By
and
far.
that's the thing. I mean, one of the other best races that you can ever watch of a horse actually losing is Seattle Slew in the Jockey Club Gold Cup. I mean, with that race is insane. You got Affirmed in there, you got Acceler there. It's amazing. But that's cruel what you just did. But I also want to say, because I feel bad, because I don't want to denigrate the horse. Blame is a really good horse. And so if she was going to lose, at least it was to a horse of that quality and caliber. And, in Garrett Gomez, he was riding hurt. And so that's another thing that adds to the lore of that whole evening. And obviously I love the Claiborne crew. So props to them, but yeah, sad.
Sneaky, the great injustice of that entire event. It's not that Zenyatta lost. It's that Blame isn't talked about in higher regard.
Yeah.
Because that campaign.
It was amazing.
Is arguably as good as anything. I think if you put him up against many of the best horses we've seen over the past decade, he has a legitimate case. There's a case to be made anyway that he belongs, I would say, in the top 3. I think he doesn't get nearly the credit he deserves. I don't know if part of it is because he beat Zenyatta, but he's for whatever reason flying under the radar as far as the past 10, 20 years. He was an exceptionally good older horse.
Yeah. Blame was no tomato can.
He was no tomato can. That is correct. And that's the appropriate use of the phrase too.
I'm smart. I catch on quick.
So we're taking a look now, finally, at the horses after all of our shenanigans in the paddock for this year's Stephen Foster. We talked
What
about
is Stephen Foster grade 2, by the way? I mean, come on, people.
Yeah. Go. You can go off on that. Go ahead.
No, okay, then I'm being provocative. Hey, everybody, if you agree with me that the Stephen Foster should be a grade 1, send a message to the graded stakes committee right now. Say yeah.
Upgrade it.
Upgrade.
That's your 1 to 5 favorite there, Maxfield. Laney has been fully provoked.
That's a great comment.
It's so good. Let's go through real quickly. We've got the clean feed here, so we don't have the odds. So I'm going to kind of update everyone on the odds, and then we'll jump into a conversation. Chess Chief on the rail, 15-1 with Johnny V up for Dallas Stewart. Empty Tomb, the 2-horse, 47-1. Necker Island, 36-1. The horse you see on your screen there, Scott mentioned Sprawl, the potential contesting speed with Warriors Charge, 23-1 right now. The 5-horse, super classy horse, game horse, always battle, 16-1. Silver Dust. Warriors Charge, taking a good bit of money. The 6-horse, 6-1. Your second choice right now. South Bend, the 7-horse, 11-1. Maxfield, as we mentioned, 1 to 5. Visitant, horse who finished second to Maxfield last out, 14-1, up from that 6-1 morning line. Bram, let's start with you this time. What is your strategy? How do you make money in this race?
Probably in the place and show categories. I like Maxfield here, obviously. I have a hard time seeing him lose. That said, there are two with pretty good numbers and one with a better number than I expected, at least at this point, with 8 so minutes until post time, which is Silver Dust. I'll take 16-1 all day on that. Maybe back to form like he was in 2020 in his last go. This trainer has a really high win percentage right now, so I like what's going on there. You're going to get a number here, and I like that number on him. And the other one, again, I'm going to go with a training win percentage that's a little higher than average that's going on right now. And I think Necker Island is way, way, way off the radar here. And again, I'm not sure I would pick him to pull something off and win something here. But Mitchell Merle on Necker Island at 35-1 or whatever it is to catch a piece of the board feels promising to me. So those are the two that really, really, really stand out. I mean, I don't like the number on Warriors Charge at this point. Typically, this horse feels a little out of class here. I mean, the Connections love taking shots in races like this, but he's not typically someone who hits the board. So I appreciate the gumption that they have with the horse, but he typically isn't there in the end. So I'm staying away from that one. I'm going to have Maxfield on top of whatever my bet is, but I'm going to really stare down Place and Show and probably end on Silver Dust and probably put a little money on Necker Island and see if I get lucky.
Bram, your long shot play, Necker Island, the 3-horse coming onto the track right now. Want to take a look back at how Necker Island did it last out. Ran in a pretty decent allowance race at Churchill Downs. Let's take a look at how Necker Island finished up in his most recent.
They're at the top of the stretch. Relentless Dancer trying to see it out. They're swarming in. Here comes Gunnit. Here comes Tyshawn. Here comes Beaverhead. And here comes Necker Island down inside. Oak Hill Savvy in behind. 1 furlong to go. Gunnit comes away with the lead. Necker Island finishing fast up the rail. Tyshawn is third. Final 100 yards. Can Necker Island catch Gunnit? Gunnit digs down. Necker Island surges to win it.
All your soundtracks are just like jam.
So another nice rail move there. I mean, again, that's 62,000 optional, non-winners of 2, just for context. Matt, what do you think? Is it possible Necker Island is back a better horse this year than he was last year?
Well, I mean, that's certainly a possibility. I think it's worth noting that the 2 runs so far here in 2021 have been at a flat mile. I know Oakland is a 2-turn mile versus the 1-turn mile at Churchill, but maybe getting out to a 1 1/8 will be something that's actually a little bit more suitable for Necker Island. If you're someone who just looks at the paper and the numbers, he's not in the same category as Maxfield. I could see using him, though, if you're playing an exacta or a trifecta, because I guess the way that I'm approaching the race, and it's not a super impressive idea or thought, I think it could be chaos behind Maxfield.
That's what
I just don't see really a scenario in which Maxfield loses. And it's not that I think he's an absolute freak of nature. I think he's a really good horse. I'm glad Scott Shapiro brought up his concerns about the distance. I think 1 1/8 is fine for him. That big cap, we were on that day for it. I'm not convinced that he's a 10 furlong horse. That's not a terrible thing. But if we're looking big picture, regardless of what happens today, if he loses, to me, it's a bit of an indictment that, okay, you're clearly not as good as I thought you were. And even if he wins, it doesn't alleviate any of my concerns about his ability to get that 10th furlong for a race like the Classic. I think he's the third of the Godolphin trio. I think number 1's Mystic Guide. We'll see him next weekend at Belmont. I think Essential Quality is right there. And then I have this horse in third of their big 3. I would be very curious to see this horse. Should they try him in a race like the Pacific Classic? I would love to get at least one more chance going 1 1/4 to find out if I'm right, wrong, indifferent about sort of my theory with him. But for this race here today, Warriors Charge makes a little bit of sense. But to Bram's point, the price just isn't – he's not enough of a price to really warrant any serious consideration to bet against Maxfield. And I feel like if he doesn't make the front, I don't think he's going to stick around for second or third. So he really isn't doing anything for me there. Maybe Silver Dust. Maybe you just punch a cold exacta of Maxfield over Silver Dust and just try to get out of here. But for me, it's more a matter of, look, Maxfield is supposed to win. There have been 5 99-plus buyers in the field earned by a horse not named Maxfield. Maxfield has earned 99 or better in each of his past 3. I mean, he's supposed to win this race. I don't care what the pace situation is.
Ren touched on Warriors Charge a little bit as well. speed horse, especially with Giroux up. Whenever he's up, the horse just goes to the lead generally. If you put a line through his races over wet tracks and his races at a mile, just look at those in which he's gone a mile and the 16th and longer. They're all good. They're all mid to high 90 buyers. I mean, Warrior's Charge makes a lot of sense here from both a pace perspective and a class perspective and a distance perspective and all the things. Every box you want to check, Warrior's Charge makes a lot of sense here. And so I think if you're looking for an alternative win bet, for me, Warrior's Charge, I think would be the only logical way to go. Aly, how about you? I mean, it doesn't sound like you're going to take a stand against Maxfield. How would you approach this race from a betting perspective, though?
Well, we've got different odds over here, but I was interested to hear what you had to say earlier Dan, about the odds that you've got, because I like a horse. I'm a big fan of Maxfield, really like a gorgeous looking horse, really big. Yeah. Love his stride, and he was impressive in the Aly Sheba. And the horse that I like to finish in behind him is Visitant, who finished second to him in the Aly Sheba. A horse that could still be improving, and actually just looking at his form, he finished 2 lengths in front of Set Piece at Turfway back at the end of March. Obviously, we just saw what Set Piece did in the last race. So I like Visitant. And when I was looking at the race earlier, Necker Island did jump out at me a little bit as a horse that could be perhaps overpriced. He's around like 33-1 over here. So I'm with you, Bram, on Necker Island just as an interesting outsider, but I'm Visitant to finish in behind Maxfield for me.
Before we get Ren's final take and picks here, I do want to mention Silver Dust, who Bram also mentioned a few moments ago. Matt mentioned a few moments ago. Silver Dust, super game horse, to me, always seemed like he kind of maybe prefers Fairgrounds a little bit more over any other track, but he has won a couple of times at Churchill, always shows up with an honest race. His last race was at Keeneland in the Ben Ali Stakes. Let's just take a look at how Silver Dust finished up there.
Night Ops is fourth with a quarter mile to go, and Treasure Trove is a wide fifth as they turn for home. Silver Dust with a narrow lead. Bo Luminari outside, Sprawl to the inside, and then Night Ops and Treasure Trove far outside. These 5 line up across the track in the final furlong. Sprawl is running a game race down to the rail. Bo Luminari is there. Silver Dust is there. Silver Dust ahead in front once again. Bo Luminari, Night Ops is running late on the outside. Silver Dust in front at the line. Silver Dust.
Ren, any love to Silver Dust? Looks like
he's a cool horse. He's a cool horse, but I have short time, so I'm giving all my love to Maxfield. This is a horse. Brennan Walsh. I'm not convinced he can't get a mile and a quarter. That was the first time Brennan said that they really put him in and threw him in against some, grade 1 competition as an older horse. Now, for me personally, I think of Santa Anita as playing a little bit heavier. So to do the mile and a quarter the first time at a track like that, I think it still remains to be seen what he can do going forward. I will say he's a beautiful animal. He's really matured. Brendan was telling me he's about 17 hands now. Just a massive horse. He really feels that race toughened him up also mentally. He came out of it a little bit different, a little bit more mature from that effort. So I'm looking forward to what he does now. And it'll be a lot of Godolphin blue, it looks like, in the Classic potentially.
All right, they are just about loaded now for the Stephen Foster Stakes. Hopefully our audio plays back properly.
In the gates, and they're off in the Stephen Foster. Squeeze back at the start where both Warriors Charge and Silver Dust. Sprawl breaks alertly and is looking for the lead. Empty Tomb toward the inside is away well. Visitant from the far outside, and now Warriors Charge after that slow beginning races up in behind the leaders as they hit the clubhouse turn. Empty Tomb in the inside with Sprawl right alongside in second. They're 1-2. Necker Island settles in toward the rail racing third. Visitant comes on to grab fourth. Warriors Charge has to settle for fifth in the early stages, 3 lengths off the lead. Maxfield comes away in sixth as they go to the outside, just inside of Silver Dust, who's clear by 3 of South Bend. In Chest Chief is the trailer. The opening quarter sharp in 23 and 1/5 seconds. They're moving down the backstretch run. Long shot, Empty Tomb in front by 3/4 of a length. Sprawl is sticking right with this one down the backstretch. They continue to go on 1-2. 3 lengths back to Visitant and Necker Island. They're still together third and fourth. Warriors Charges fifth with 5 lengths to make up. Maxfield is still 6th with 4 furlongs to go now, is still in the clear, starting to muster up a bit of a run now. Farther back, it's Silver Dust, and then it's South Bend and the trailer Chest Chiefs. Around the far turn, Sprawl has taken the lead with 3 furlongs to go. Empty Tomb gives way toward the rail. Maxfield with a blitz on the far turn, 6th, 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, and now 1st at the quarter pole. Maxfield takes charge at the top of the stretch. Sprawls back into 2nd. Warriors charges under pressure back in 3rd with Empty Tomb. South Bend coming with a run switched outside for the final furlong. And at the 8th pole, it is Maxfield doing it easily by 3. Sprawls trying hard back in 2nd. Warriors charge running a good race up into 3rd. The rest are struggling, and Maxfield fought off all challengers easily to win the Foster. Glides under the wire, winning it by 3. Warriors charged up for 2nd. Sprawl was 3rd, and South Bend was 4th.
He's just all class. That horse is all class.
No surprises there. I will say it seemed like the most significant thing that happened from a trip perspective was that Warriors Charge didn't break.
He got pinched at the break, yeah.
And he still, even though he had to kind of run outside his comfort zone, not being that close to the lead, he still ran a really nice race. I also thought Sprawl, all things considered, he seems like a pretty game horse. I mean, he always hangs in for a piece. I mean, I think if he, if they drop him down and he's kind of facing company that's a little softer than this, I think he's a sure winner next out. I mean, he's a pretty game horse. I mean, I don't know. I like him a lot, but Warriors Charge to not break and to run on as well as he did.
But did you see that? Aly, you're an equestrian, right, Aly?
Yeah.
Did you see the head on right there? Part of the reason he got pinched back because the break, he got out. It looked like he sort of had a little hitch in the giddy up in the hindquarters there for a half step, and then that put him in a position where the other horses kind of pitched him out of it.
I didn't see that. I've got different pictures to you, but I just thought Maxfield was fantastic there. Yeah. He needed to be fantastic if he's going to be going to the Classic because, his last run in this kind of quality or is over in Santa Anita, he was disappointing. So today, though, just the way he went, and the commentator said it, he's in 6th, he's in 5th, 4th, 3rd, 30, and he just came so easily, sliced through the field. I thought, I like that horse an awful lot. And interesting to hear that you said he's 17 hands. He's a big horse.
Yes.
He's got a big stride on him. And when he used it today, it was, awesome win.
Yeah. And what a pedigree on this horse, too. I mean, Street Sense over Bernardini. Dam is a 3/4 sister to Sky Mesa. Female family have just a ton of black type, big time winners, including the likes of Outstandingly. He's just awesome.
Yeah.
Takeaways, Bram?
I mean, listen, Maxfield's unbelievably impressive. I would say that Warriors Charge was equally impressive. That was a terrible start.
Yeah.
Pinched the way he was, the way he finished. Maybe that says something a little bit about the field that he was in today, but that was a heck of a comeback to get where he was. Silver Dust and Warriors Charge should have been practically eliminated, essentially, from being anywhere near the front. Silver Dust was. Never really recovered from it, and Warriors Charge was able to get through and get 2nd and be semi-close to Maxfield, who's clearly just cruising home at that point. But that was a very, very impressive race from Warriors Charge, who, I kind of question because they take shots in these races, but they're typically not really near the board in these bigger type races. The connections go for it. And in this case, they were, I think they were validated in what they did. That was a heck of a race by him, and Maxfield's a real deal. I mean, so we'll see him this fall. He's a real deal.
Matt, I have a funny story. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I wanted to throw this heat toward Matt because people are trolling us. So I didn't. Did anyone pick against Maxfield?
I don't think anyone picked against Maxfield.
Nobody picked against Maxfield. I don't know.
We all said we were all picking to win. We were looking for something underneath them. I mean, I picked him to win too, like anyone else. He's on top of every one of my exotic bets.
I would unfriend anybody here who'd picked against Maxfield.
This is the problem, though. People hear what they want to hear. That when you name other horses, that must mean that you're picking them. Which again, if you just you're hearing, you're not listening. You're hearing.
I'm giving the applause to Brendan. There he is. Yeah.
This an observation. The horse runs the turns extremely well, and to me, that usually is the sign of a very, very classy horse. Horses who can run on the turn. It's not something that should just be taken for granted. And for him to run as well as he does on the turns, I think that speaks volumes to his overall ability. I said it before, I'll say it now. Today's performance is nothing to change my opinion of him. I still think he's a really good horse. I'm still not convinced 1.25 miles is going to be his friend. I think he's the third of the 3 Godolphin horses. That's not a bad thing because it seems like the Godolphin team is just loaded with all-stars this year. But I'll be very interested to see. And Bram brought up Warriors Charge finishing second, I think had a lot more to do with the field than necessarily the enormous performance from Warriors Charge. And I don't want that to sound mean, but I want to take. I like that. I want to see those top 2 against the horses who we're going to see next weekend at Belmont. I want to see Mystic Guide. I want to see Happy Saver. I want to see, perhaps we see Country Grammar out west. I want to see these horses do this against Royal Ship, against the 3-year-olds, Hot Rod Charlie and Essential Quality and Mandaloon, whoever else you want to throw in there. Life is good at some point. It's one thing to do it here. It's another thing to do it against that caliber. Maxfield, I think he belongs talent-wise. Distance, still not sold. Warriors Charge, I think this is more a product of who we ran against today than anything else.
I like that. The exacta you see there, this wasn't a race where you were going to retire on anything you hit here. $2 exacta, $13.40, 50-cent try. Actually, not bad. 50-cent try, $21.85. That's $43 and change for your trifecta for $1. Your double, a whopping $3.70, and your super paid low as well. Look, there are many opportunities on the road to the Longines Breeders' Cup Classic to make money, and we will be here for a lot of those opportunities because we're going to be streaming a lot of these races live with you over the next couple of months. But before we go, just because, I think that you might think that I'm cruel for showing Zenyatta losing a little earlier.
Think.
I just wanted
no. The word is no. K-N-O-W.
I just want to make the case that I came ready here today to talk about a number of other relevant runnings of the Stephen Foster, including the 2017 edition. Now, if you remember in 2017, they ran the Breeders' Cup for the first time at Del Mar. The horse who won the Longines Classic was a horse named Gunrunner. And just as a little tribute, I wanted to take a look back at how Gunrunner won the Stephen Foster 4 years ago. It's crazy to think 2017 was 4 years ago now, but 4 years ago, this was Gunrunner in the Stephen Foster.
Gunrunner the one to catch. Stanford is poised for the stretch drive. Farther back, Breaking Lucky's under pressure. Honorable Duty's on the outside, racing fourth. Nothing from Birdsong. Hawakam cuts the corner off the turn. Top of the stretch in the Stephen Foster. And Florence Roux shakes up Gunrunner. A 2-length lead. Now it's a 3-length lead. Gunrunner by the 8th pole. Stanford battles on. Breaking Lucky does too with Honorable Duty and Hawakam down inside. But there's 100 yards left. And Gunrunner with gusto in the Stephen Foster wins for fun. 5 in the end.
I'm doing this for Matt Bernier with gusto and a late lead change.
Right.
Hey, there are exceptions to every rule. There are exceptions to every rule, and he was an exceptional talent.
Oh yeah, and his babies are firing.
Yeah.
So for those look to Saratoga people, you see Gunrunner in there. You may want to punch that ticket.
So to Matt's point about still being a little skeptical about Maxfield, I think we could say visually, Gunrunner, at least at this stage in his progression and his year there in 2017, probably a step ahead of Maxfield. We'll see. I know Ren's going to throw something at me through the screen.
No, I'm not going to throw anything. No.
But no, look, there's time, and the question is also, again, it's a question of what's out there. Who's going to step up and emerge. I mean, there's still so much time between now and Breeders' Cup weekend. So we'll see how it all plays out. Before we go, as we do customarily here, let's go around the room. Bram. Let people know where they could catch you, what you're up to, and
What am I up to? Oh boy.
What are you up to?
Let's see. Monday, I'll be with Dan, and we'll be talking about these races on the Winner's Circle that we do live at 11 a.m. here on Ye Olde Internet, and then double as a podcast. So I'll be doing that. If you're in the DC area, you can catch me on ESPN 630, the Sports Capital, from 3 to 6. And we're a month away from football season, and I call the Washington football team games and can't believe it, but we're going to have people in a stadium again and an open training camp and all that stuff. So I'm pumped. I'm not going to call the games off television screens this year. We're going to do it in front of a live stadium. So I can't wait for that.
Awesome.
Aly, now that they've broken quarantine out your way, I know it's going to be harder and harder to get you to join us. Higher demand on you right now to be outdoors at all these sorts of events. Where can people catch you next?
Would be nice. Yeah, I hope to go racing a bit more in the UK, but actually I'm off to Tokyo for the Olympics in 2 weeks' time. I'm out there for a month. So yeah, I think it's going to be back to quarantine in Tokyo. It's all pretty restricted out there, which is fair enough. But yeah, so I've got my Olympics hat on for a bit, and then fingers crossed can get back to doing some racing for CNN towards the end of the year. And fingers crossed we're on the beach in Del Mar later this year.
Tell us real quick more about Tokyo. So what do you have a coverage plan at the moment? What exactly you're covering, how it's all going to work?
Yeah, so I'm just doing the equestrian, so covering all 3 disciplines in the equestrian. And I think everything's going to be really restricted, at least for the first 2 weeks. Fair enough with the athletes, because if any of the athletes test positive, they're out, even if they've got no symptoms. So I'm working for the Olympics in the sort of doing all the interviews and the mixed zone reporting, doing features. So it's a great place. I mean, I'm super excited, even if I'm just literally going to be in hotel room. It's going to be great to get some good sport back. And everyone's just, I think the whole world is pretty desperate just to get stuck into some really good sport, sort of feel good sport. So I hope we're going to have some good stories coming from there.
All right, Matt, top that. Aly's going to Tokyo.
Yeah, I can't top Tokyo. Next Saturday and Sunday, Belmont Park for more Breeders' Cup winning. You're in action. NBC and NBCSN. I don't know. They're flip-flopped one of the 2 days, but I'm so excited to see the rematch of the Jockey Club Gold Cup from last year. It sounds like we're going to have Mystic Guide and Happy Saver throwing it down in the Suburban. That should be fantastic. And there's a number of other great races over the 2 days down there. So Saturday and Sunday next week, NBC and NBCSN at Belmont. Belmont's not quite Tokyo, but I enjoy Belmont.
It's the Tokyo of Long Island. So
for sure.
Ren, where can people catch you? Like you mentioned the Brennan Walsh interview. I know you've been interviewing big jockeys, big owners. Where can people catch you?
I actually had Jose Ortiz on, I believe, the week prior, or 2 weeks prior. I'm going to be doing the Future Stars forecast week to week still. This week, I'm going to have on a really, really kind gentleman, and he's actually the
Bram Weinstein.
Has Bram been called kind before? No, I'm joking. I love Bram. I do. But this week. This week I'm going to have on a very kind gentleman named Randy Lowe. He actually owns Lady Shipman. He bred Golden Pal. The news just came out this week that Golden Pal, our Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint champion, has been sold to Coolmore. He's going to campaign this year, and he'll be a Coolmore stud. So I'm going to have him on this week to discuss that. But going back to the Brendan Walsh interview, because I really want to make this about him and not what I'm up to, I just want to say, for those of you who can have the time, I know it's the weekend, so maybe you do, please go back and watch that interview. He is one of the best ambassadors we have in this sport. The love he has for these horses is undeniable, and the hard work that's been put forth to be where he is today is evident. He tells this great story during the course of the interview about a horse named Carey Street. Some of you may remember him. He won the Las Vegas Marathon on the Breeders' Cup undercard a couple years back. He claimed that horse for $10,000 with his own money. And the next race he put him in, the horse, he says, lost by a pole. And he was standing there thinking, oh my gosh, what have I done? and yet he still was able to get this horse developed into the stakes winner. And he tells a great story about watching the marathon with Angel Cordero right next to him, and how he credits that horse with why he is still in racing. And to think of that, and to think that he got his first grade one with Maxfield, and that's so significant as well. And he also tells another great story about after that debut with Maxfield, his main start, Jose Ortiz got off and said, okay, is a grade one next? And Brendan was thinking, what? it wasn't even on his radar. And of course, he went on to win the Claiborne's Breeders' Fraternity. And look where he is now. And now he's got his ticket punched with a win and you're in from the Stephen Foster to the Breeders' Cup Classic.
Love it. Love it. Catch Ren on Breeders' Cup social media channels and on her own Twitter at Ren Carothers. It's been awesome having you all here for our kickoff edition of Breeders' Cup Road to the Longines Classic. We'll be back for more of these in the coming weeks. You see the information down at the bottom of your screen. Tickets go on sale July 16th for the Breeders' Cup. Make sure you are ready to refresh those pages to make sure you get in and don't get shut out. breederscup.com/tickets on July 16th. We'll be back next for the Haskell Invitational from Monmouth Park on July 17th. But for now, that's the show. For Ren, for Matt, for Bram, for Aly staying up late night for us, I'm Dan Tordjman. We will see you next time.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than americasbestracing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. America's Best Racing is a sport for you. Live it, love it, bet it.